welcome back. All right, let's continue with our coverage of coronavirus right here in Israel and take you live to Professor Nadir Arba, who's joining us from Tel Aviv. Professor, good evening. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. Tell me, what do you make of this latest spike in cases? Is it a huge cause for concern, given that 60% of the population here in Israel is vaccinated?
So, no, we still strongly support the vaccinations. I think overall it is successful. It is so that we see some emerging, and we don't know this is a new mutation, say Delta mutation, so the lack of efficacy of the virus. But therefore, I think Israel is right in having the third vaccinations. I was vaccinated. Having said that, I think it is good to have an opportunity to have a remedy, a drug to those who failed the vaccinations, or those who cannot be vaccinated, or those, if they're going to emerge a new mutation, that the vaccine is not good enough. And to that extent, I think we might have found the solution.
And Professor, tell me, can we expect this vaccine to be something that we'll need to take on a regular basis to get some sort of normality back?
I think if we have to take a vaccine every 6 months, as we are doing today, it's too much. It's too often, and the compliance is not going to be high enough. At the most, it's like the vaccinations for influenza is once a year. And also, to this extent, the acceptance by the public is at the most 40 to 50%. Hopefully, the repeated vaccinations, and especially the immunity, is going to last for more than that, and we will not need to use it every 6 months. Israel is the first country that is doing it on a nation basis, and Israel should be congratulated. We are leaders in the field because maybe we're the first one to be vaccinated, and we reached the time to have the first vaccinations. But if it's going to be every 6 months, the public is not going to accept it.
And Professor Arba, I understand that you have been hard at work creating a different kind of medicine that is showing incredible results in dealing with coronavirus and is currently being tested in Greece. Tell me more about this.
That is correct. We have developed a precision medicine. This is what I believe, that we should target the exact pathophysiology that cause a disease, and we should treat those who need it. As you well know, 19 out of 20 patients with COVID-19 do not need any therapy, just supportive therapy. However, in 5% of the populations, after 5, 6, 7, 10 days, there is overreactions of the immune system in the lung, what you call the cytokine storms. And our drug directly attracts these pathological pathways. We're inhibiting the cytokine storm using a molecule that I've been working in the last 25 years, namely CD24, that we deliver it by inhalations directly into the place of fire, and it inhibits this part of the immune system. And this is important. We are inhibiting the part of the immune system that is in charge for productions of the cytokine and chemokines, which cause damage to the lungs. However, at the same time, we do not interfere with the ability of the immune system to clear the virus with viral clearance, as opposed to steroids, which shut down completely the immune system. What our drug is doing is tuning back to normal activity, not completely, to normal activity using endogenous mechanism of our immune system. And as a delivery, and this is another breakthrough, as a delivery, we are using exosomes. You don't have to be frightened. Exosomes are small vesicles derived from the membrane of the cells, and they're in charge for cell-cell interactions. This is how cells in our body exchange information to talk to each other. We have done a first phase 1b/2a, meaning it's mostly to check the safety of the drug. First, when you give it up, you want to make sure that it doesn't cause any harm, and it was proven. At the same time, the studies that we included 35 patients that we did 4 months ago in Israel, we also saw some promise efficacy. At that time, there were no patients in Israel. As we wish to move to the next step, which is called phase 2, minimal effective dose, or study to check for what is the minimal effective dose. We turned into Greece, and we did it in Greece, and we're just completing now, including this phase 2 dose finding study. 90 patients were recruited. Again, safety is absolutely sure. We can absolutely be sure about this, confident about the safety of the drug. Again, like we saw in Israel, it was very pleasant to see the efficacy of the drug, promising efficacy. It was based on 3 leading institute hospitals in Greece, in Athens, with a leading principal investigator, Professor Sotiros Tsiodras. He's a corona projectors in Greece. And now we are launching the ultimate study.
Okay.
Our drug versus placebo. And as much as we think that the drug has potential to be effective, until we compare it to placebo, we cannot be sure, and this is what we would like to do now.
Well, it certainly sounds very, very promising. Professor Nadir Arba, thank you so very much for coming on to chat to us today.
Thank you.
Moving on, in a marathon debate between Israel's cabinet ministers overnight, ending with an agreement to pass the 2-year state budget. Well, the proposal now goes to the Parliament's Finance Committee and then on to the Knesset, where the entire body of lawmakers must pass it into law by November 4 to prevent the government from falling. Well, some of the major changes, more than $600 million to the Health Ministry, while raising the retirement age for women from 62 to 65.
After years of neglect, this morning we are bringing the most daring, most competitive budget. This budget cares for the underprivileged. It is free of political considerations and is most concerned about the future of our children. This year, the year 2021, we are planting the seeds for a better future for our children and grandchildren in 2051.
And our diplomatic correspondent, Eli Hockenberg, is standing by for us live at the Knesset. Eli, hello again. Tell me, just how significant is this?
It is significant, Sarah, especially as we're talking about the stability or prospects of this government to be a long, enduring one. The budget is the first main hurdle of this coalition and definitely a reflection, if we're talking about, again, the government itself ratifying the budget, a demonstration of the eagerness of each and every party leader consisting of this coalition to keep it intact, to power through the differences, ideological differences, agenda differences, different electoral bases, but again, to mend fences and finally make it through. But there's a very important step, a route to ratify the budget completely, and this is Parliament. Here it will be more challenging with a razor-thin majority, with 61 members. It's enough for one member of the coalition to have a change of heart, and by that, the budget will not be concluded in the third reading that is necessary again for it to be approved. And if that will be the case, then the government, according to Israeli law, will get automatically dissolved. Parliament, rather, will be automatically dissolved, and the government will end its term in this respect. But this is a very optimistic day for the coalition, no doubt about that. Here's the thoughts of some members of this coalition.
The Israeli government is finally passing a budget caring for its citizens in so many fields. The budget has passed the first hurdle in the government. We in the Knesset will make sure to continue the process, but also to make sure that some of the things that have gone through will undergo changes within the Knesset committees after serious and in-depth discussion. This is good news, but there's still a long way to go.
And Ellie, we're seeing more than $600 million to the Health Ministry, if indeed it does go through, also raising the retirement age for women up to 65. What are some of the other standout points there for you?
Well, when it comes to the opposition, this budget is simply not good enough. Some would suggest that it's better to have a bad budget than no budget at all. But again, for opposition members, this budget should be slammed. And this is exactly what we've heard from former Prime Minister, current opposition leader Benjamin Netanyahu a short while ago at the Parliament's plenum. And obviously, as mentioned beforehand, he will do whatever he can to try and foil the prospects of this budget to be ratified at last. Let's take a listen, Sarah.
While our athletes bring global accomplishments, the current government excels at erasing world achievements. If there had been an Olympics in international failures, this government would have achieved at least 3 more gold medals. Gold medal for Bennett for world failure in Corona, gold medal for Lapid for world failure against Iran, and gold medal for Lieberman for world failure in the economy. Raising taxes, raising prices, economic damages to each and every one of the citizens of Israel. especially in the middle and lower social economic classes.
All right, Eli Hockenberg there at the Knesset. Thanks so much, and we'll come back to you a little later on. Moving on, in US Olympic superstar Simone Biles plans to compete in Tuesday's beam final to conclude her Tokyo Olympics. Well, Biles, widely considered the world's best gymnast, is set to return for the last event at the comp after her dramatic withdrawal from several events over mental health issues, and we will keep you updated. Meanwhile, there's been an historic Olympic achievement for Israel with its second gold medal ever and its first in one category. Erica Jackson with more.
A moment that enraptured a country and captured the eyes of the world. Artyom Dolgopiat winning Israel's second Olympic gold medal in history and the first one for the nation in artistic gymnastics. For the 24-year-old, his success started in a different country, Ukraine, where he started to train at the age of 6.
When I came to the gym at the age of 6, I immediately fell in love with this sport. I saw the big kids doing incarnations and flips. Straight away, I fell in love. I was always the smallest in the group, both when I was in Ukraine and trained at the age of 6, and also when I immigrated and trained at the age of 12. Everyone was bigger than me.
But life had other plans in store for him, with his parents immigrating to Israel. Artyom later joining Maccabi Tel Aviv's gymnastics team, and at Maccabi Tel Aviv, he formed a strong bond with groundbreaking gymnast Alex Shatilov, who became his mentor. Artyom, who was skinny when he was young, saw Shatilov soaring to new heights in the world of Israeli gymnastics, reaching Olympic finals and making it to the podium in European and World Championships.
We're still in a state of euphoria after the competition. This is an inconceivable achievement. I'm pinching myself to make sure I'm not dreaming.
Artyom overcame major achievements throughout his career, including capturing gold in the floor exercise and bronze in the vault at the 2020 European Championships in Turkey. But the journey to getting a gold medal hasn't been without obstacles. He also faced injuries during his career, including some that put his sporting career on the line. But despite the hardships, Artyom has a strong message for the next generation.
I want to continue to be humble and wish everyone would be like that. I wish them to get support from those around them and continue to succeed. And first of all, believe in themselves.
And what's next for Artyom? The next Olympics, perhaps?
I think we will not stop here and move on. We are facing Paris. We will prepare and bring honor to the country as well.
Now that's all for now. Back a little later.